out the latest in the ASAP Rocky shooting trial. Rocky and his longtime partner Rihanna spotted leaving the LA courthouse Thursday. Jury deliberations are expected to begin as soon as today. Rocky has been charged with allegedly firing a gun at former friend and fellow ASAP mob member ASAP Relly.
So ASAP Rocky's pleaded not guilty to 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. His team claims no crime was committed. Joining us now with the latest is ABC News senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky, as well as ABC News contributor and attorney Channa Lloyd. Thank you both for being here. Channa, we're going to start with you. Pretty interesting day in court yesterday. We do know that the ASAP Rocky's partner Rihanna had arrived in court with their 2 sons. We got closing arguments winding down now. So what do you think are going to be the deciding factors for the jury?
The jury is really going to have to look at the elements of the crime. 2 of the most important that we want to focus on is intent to cause serious bodily harm. You also have to have a deadly weapon by which to do this. The state's putting forth the idea that there was a weapon, this was a live gun, and that he did intend to use it. Now, the defense is putting forth an alternate theory that this was a prop gun. And if it was indeed a prop gun, and the jury does believe that, then there's no deadly weapon. So you can't fulfill the legal requirement to prove these charges. And so the jury's really going to be focused on whether or not they believe there was an actual live gun or whether it was a prop gun. The other thing that the jury will be looking at are the actual ASAP Rocky himself. He did not testify. However, he did have an outburst in court. That may affect the way they feel about him and his allegations.
All right, let's talk more about the fact that he didn't testify. What do you make of that? And how do you think that plays with the jury? Do you think they needed to hear from him here?
You know, it's interesting, Eva. This really boils down to a he said, she said, whose story is accurate. But we also have to remember it is the state's burden to prove their case. He does not have to put on a defense, nor is he required to testify. And I believe that the jury knows that if he had testified, he would have opened himself up to a very serious cross-examination. So it was better for him not to testify. And the judge is going to instruct them not to use his silence as any form of indication of guilt. So they will be instructed about that. And so that's what they're going to take into them. So they should not look at his silence as any form of guilt or admission of guilt.
Aaron, let's talk about Diddy. So separate case here.
Sure.
He's facing federal racketeering, sex trafficking charges, pleaded not guilty, but he's now filed a lawsuit of his own against NBC Universal over a documentary. What's the story here?
This is over a new documentary, and Sean Combs did not like a lot of the things that were said about him in that documentary, connecting him to Kim Porter, his former girlfriend, to Biggie Smalls, and a lot of unflattering things about the sex trafficking charges. And the argument, Trevor, is that NBC and this documentary crew should have known that those things were not true and aired them anyway. That may be a tall order. Shauna would know better about the likelihood of success in this case suing NBC Universal, but it's all over the statements that were made. Sean Combs says they are not true and should not have been aired.
Diddy's attorney gave us a statement, and I just want to read this for us. In making and broadcasting these falsehoods, among others, defendants seek only to capitalize on the public's appetite for scandal without any regard for the truth and at the expense of Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial. Shauna, could a documentary like this actually impact Diddy when he goes to trial?
Absolutely, Eva. We have to remember that a trial with this much publicity is going to have a lot of trouble seating a jury, because it's not about the documentary itself. It's about what people take from the documentary and whether or not they're going to have preconceived notions if they're seated as jurors. And we know that this story is extremely widespread. Most persons that you ask know about this story, have heard of one of these documentaries, even the NBC, and so that could affect their beliefs going into trial. So it could affect him if he's not able to seat a proper jury pool that is not affected by something that they've seen or heard from these documentaries.
Aaron Katersky, Channa Lloyd, thank you both so much for being here with us.
Always nice to see both of you.